Hello, and you're watching some gameplay capture footage from Lords of the Fallen being played on the PlayStation 4. Now this game is an action RPG and it's out on the 28th of October in North America and on the 31st or Halloween in Europe. My name's Sam Finch and I'm reporting for ConsoleMonster.com. So this is the big man himself. This is Harkin, the protagonist, who you'll be going on your adventure as. He's a hardened criminal and he's here to atone for his sins by saving the world. You can all see the tattoos on his face. Those represent the sins of his past and basically why he's here. And this is his friend with the gimpy leg. Fans of the genre will be familiar with the class setup system. It's divided into two parts, the magic selection and the equipment selection. The magic is described as brawling magic, deception magic and solace magic, and that fits broadly into the categories of tank, warrior, fighter, rogue or healer. As you'll see in a second, I choose to go with deception. That would be the magic of the rogue type. Choosing armor sets, we've got a little bit of choice. We can go heavy, medium or light. This gives a little bit of an opportunity to hybridize our initial class choices. So we can have a tank healer or, for instance, a heavily armored rogue. Gives you basically 9 combinations you can possibly work with. That's the 3 magic choices times by the 3 equipment choices. Inevitably there will be comparisons made between Lords of the Fallen and Dark Souls. They're both in the same genre and there are a lot of similar stylistic elements at play here. That said, the narrative shown by Lords of the Fallen seems much stronger than that in Dark Souls, which was basically negligible. There's also a more linear development of the game as it progresses. New players may find combat tricky, however, a lot of rolling, hitting and rolling should get you out of any tricky situations you might face early on. As your attributes improve and you get access to new weapons and new spells, you'll be free to experiment with many different styles of battle. However, as I said early on, the roll is your best friend. The footage you're watching is of the first boss, which comes just after the early tutorial mission. And you'll see that I'm guzzling health potions like they're going out of fashion. They are a true godsend in this game, and they're refilled from going to the save shard, which you'll see just after this boss fight. Save shard is also where you go to bank your experience. The experience can be distributed between either your attributes or your skills, that's your spells, and you can make the weighting as you wish. So whichever way you want to focus your experience points, hard earned I'm sure, you have that choice. Now while the safe option is to bank all of your experience as soon as you can, that comes with a caveat, and that being that the more experience you're carrying and therefore the greater risk you're taking, the more experience enemies that you defeat will drop. So you're going to have to choose how much of a risk you want to take yourselves. And it looks like he's out of there. Job done, first boss down. Let's get going. So this is all your blurb character development. The character development part will take place by accessing a series of these save shards throughout the game. Now, as I've said, this is where you come to bank your experience. This is where you get to round off your character in the typical role-playing game way that accounts for the RPG part of the action RPG genre, which Lords of the Fallen falls into. As stated, you can distribute your experience points as you wish, and here I've split them evenly between my spell points and my attribute points. It might do just as well to focus them all towards your stats, that is attributes, early on. It will give you a little bit of a buffer, particularly if you improve your strength and vitality against early bosses. Spells well useful and a lot of fun. They do break up the combat. They aren't totally necessary at this point, but the decision is yours. The game's a bit of a beauty, and I was particularly impressed by the lighting and shadows shown brilliantly here by these flaming pots. It looks better on the indoor parts of it, it must be said, although it definitely doesn't suffer outside. I must admit I geeked out a little over the textures. The complexity of the armour designs really makes trying new loot items on rather a pleasure. And whether that makes a geek of me or not, I don't care, because it's a lot of fun in this game. And the designs are frankly stunning. Also, something to geek out over is the gravelly sound effects which accompany each strike. These really make for a satisfying, weighty combat experience, and combined with the vibrations in the controller, this makes for well, not a realistic, definitely an immersive experience. Quick peek at the inventory will show what choices you have when choosing your gear. You've got headgear, chest gear, leg gear, all kinds of gear. You've got weapons and shields should you choose to use one. Now, dying will happen again and again, and it will be frustrating, but this is quite a forgiving game with plenty of checkpoints. There's death, there's glory. A more accessible, though perhaps not quite as rewarding, fantasy action RPG when compared to Dark Souls. Lords of the Fallen is definitely worth your attention, and perhaps a bit of a dark horse in this autumn's release schedule. We don't have long to wait to find out, though, with the game releasing at the end of the month, so get your blades sharpened, there's fighting to be had.